This is Britain's iconic InterCity 125 high-speed train. For 50 years these legendary trains have served railway lines all over Great Britain, but today they remain in just one place, running between Scotland's 7 major cities, but not for much longer. With half a century of history behind them, these trains don't quite work the way they used to, which I discovered this morning. Join me for a ride in the beautiful first-class carriage as we head from Aberdeen down to Edinburgh to experience what it's like to ride the last InterCity 125 trains in Great Britain. We begin our journey at Aberdeen railway station, which goes back all the way to 1867. However, it's been through several major modernization programs, with the last one taking place just a couple of years ago. Right, let's head inside and check out the station. While you wouldn't believe it this morning, Aberdeen Station is actually the busiest in Scotland outside of the Edinburgh and Glasgow area, serving about 2.3 million passengers every year. The station mainly consists of this fairly large but empty main hall. Next to the main hall, there's both a heated waiting room as well as a few shops and a ticket office. Above the ticket office, you'll find the station's first-class lounge, which is available to all passengers traveling in first class. This was actually a really nice small little lounge. Providing comfortable seating to relax and work, there was also a small self-service counter with a few complimentary snacks on offer as well as hot and cold drinks. I grabbed a hot drink and enjoyed watching the fairly empty main hall before heading back down to the platforms. As with many other stations in the United Kingdom, all platforms are protected by these ticket gate barriers. But once you're through them, you can roam the platforms. Aberdeen is served by 4 different train operators, the main one being, ScotRail, providing various regional and intercity services to all over Scotland. For longer distance services into England, you have Cross Country, who runs a daily service via Leeds and Birmingham to Plymouth, as well as the Caledonian Sleeper, providing an overnight link to London. Finally, Aberdeen is also served by a 4th train operator, providing daytime connections to London. I didn't see them this morning, so let me know if you can guess which one it is in the comments below. And arriving in here from Edinburgh is the star of today's video, the legendary HST or InterCity 125. These trains entered service around 50 years ago and pretty much defined high-speed rail in Britain. With a top speed of 125 miles per hour, they completely transformed long-distance rail travel, and even set various speed records for diesel locomotives at the time. For decades, this train has been the backbone of British passenger rail, and now, 50 years later, quite a few of them are still going strong up in Scotland, at least for a year or two more. ScotRail took on these trains in 2018, where they have branded them as InterCity, a reference to the 7 Scottish cities they primarily run between. The livery also reflects this, with landmarks from the 7 cities painted throughout the carriages as well as on the power cars. And I think it looks pretty cool. I should also mention they were built by British Rail Engineering, and their general top speed is 125 miles per hour. But here in Scotland, they don't get above 100 miles per hour. Right, let's head on board and check out what this legendary train is like on the inside. ScotRail's HSTs consist of either 4 or 5 passenger carriages, with first class being found at one end of the train. And I have to say, my first impressions are pretty good. These seats look very comfortable. They definitely look a bit old-timey, but in a classy way. We depart Aberdeen on time at 09:05, heading into what's currently shaping up to be a beautiful December day here in Scotland. Not long after departure, we pass over the Dee River, which is where the city gets its name from. Aber means confluence or river mouth in Celtic, You'll never guess what the Dee River does on this location. Anyway, time for the route map. We are catching the 0905 service bound for Edinburgh. Our train will make 7 intermediate stops on its journey today, which is 130 miles long to Waverley Station. The trip is scheduled to take 2 hours and 18 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 56 miles per hour. Not long after departure from Aberdeen, I noticed that something wasn't quite right this morning. The carriage was very cold and remained very cold, with outside temperatures in the single digits. And sure enough, once the guard came around to check tickets, he informed us that the heating in first class had in fact broken on the way up to Aberdeen, and let us know that we could move back to second class where the heating was still working. And he'd make sure that the trolley would still come around, offering the same complimentary service as in first class. I ended up declining and just decided to keep my jacket on and warm up with the complimentary hot drink you get here in first class. What a stunning morning to be making this journey on, with the sun rising right above the Northsea, beautifully illuminating the landscape in the otherwise normally pretty grey month of December. We shortly afterwards make our first station stop in Stonehaven, a small fishing town home to about 12,000 people. Also note now as we depart from here that the semaphore signals are still in use. Now that's a blast from the past. We are now heading south from Stonehaven, which was the site of a tragic accident involving the derailment of one of these HST trains, which happened when it collided with a landslip, killing 3 people about 5 years ago. Unfortunately, this accident also highlighted some of the issues with running 50-year-old trains. It was reported that the HSTs and the Mark III carriages just isn't quite up to the same standards in terms of crashworthiness of more modern trains. That's not to say that these trains are unsafe, but with them being used intensively on intercity work for their entire life, corrosion and rust has become a much bigger issue, alongside other random faults. I mean, I experienced it myself this morning with the heating being broken in first class. And the first time I attempted to make a video about these legendary trains, it was swapped for a Class 170. And that's also why ScotRail is looking to retire them within the next year or 2. They are getting too unreliable and are increasingly hard to maintain. However, from a passenger comfort perspective, these trains are still pretty good, if you excuse the heating issues today at least. The first class seats are actually really excellent. I'm really a fan of the classy old school look to them, and at the same time they have been upgraded with modern amenities like lots of power and a huge table. The seat also features a nice well padded armrest, as well as a slightly winged headrest for extra comfort. The seat is very well balanced with a good amount of padding without losing support as well. I really like it. We are now speeding along at our maximum speed for today's journey of 100 miles per hour to our next intermediate stop in Dundee. You'd be tempted to think that this city is also situated on the River Dee, but actually the river we are just about to cross is the Tay. We are now on the 2-mile long Tay Bridge, which is actually the second railway bridge to cross the river, after the first one collapsed in a violent windstorm in 1879. And with our crossing now complete, our train can get back up to speed. We have now left the Northsea behind and will be travelling mostly inland for the rest of the way to Edinburgh. Right, let me show you around first class and the rest of the train. These trains are nicely equipped with a mix of both table and airline style seating. I especially appreciate that the solo airline style seats get a proper table. First class passengers also have access to this small complimentary self-service area, providing some small snacks as well as canned water. Next up, we'll be heading down to second class, but there is also a small buffet counter here, but it was closed on my trip. Standard class is, well, pretty standard. It features luggage racks, overhead storage, as well as seats in the standard 2+2 layout, mostly airline style seats, but also a few around a table. And all the way at the front and back of the train, you can even have a look into the power car, where there seems to be some sort of bike storage area. Toilets are found throughout the train, and these were pretty standard. The water was working without an issue, and although the sink was pretty small, I didn't find the water splashing everywhere. Paper towels are provided, as well as toilet tissue, with the flush working without issue. Overall, it's nice. Also, make sure not to miss the bagpipe practice room, which is a really fun way of marking a staff-only area. Right, back at my seat, we are now stopping at Cupar. From here, our train will run non-stop to Edinburgh, skipping many smaller stations on our way that are instead served by various shorter distance commuter services. And it's not long after we cross over the iconic Forth Bridge, taking us across the water into Edinburgh. I should also mention before we arrive at our final destination that these trains are equipped with free Wi-Fi, but I couldn't get it to work. Another thing to note is while these trains will be taken out of service in the UK fairly soon, it will still be possible to catch a ride on board them abroad, as a few of these trains have been sold second-hand to Nigeria and Mexico respectively. So, let's start summarizing the trip, as we'll be arriving soon. The cheapest first-class advance ticket between Aberdeen and Edinburgh starts from a reasonable £33. While train tickets in the UK generally is quite expensive, if you can snatch one of these cheap advance fares, I actually think the value is there, especially given the good quality of the train itself and the nice lounge in Aberdeen. But let's not kid ourselves, these trains are tired and increasingly unreliable. And while they might still be comfortable from a passenger point of view, there's really no denying that they are ready for retirement, which is likely happening within the next year or two with a cascade of other second-hand trains from elsewhere in the United Kingdom. It's a bittersweet goodbye seeing such beloved trains taken out of service, but I can't help to think it would feel a lot more right if these once groundbreaking trains, which other countries look to copy, had not been mostly replaced by a series of trains that's nowhere near the top in terms of comfort or quality compared to what the rest of the world is building today. We arrive into Edinburgh's Waverley station pretty much on time after what's been an okay journey on the HST. I'm at least very glad to have gotten a final ride in on them before they retire. Thanks for joining me in this video today. If you liked it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as I try to post a new video every Sunday. And if you want to give the channel a little extra support, consider joining the membership program where you can get early access to videos as well as exclusive travel updates for just a couple of euros every month. From here in Edinburgh, thanks for watching.